Thanks, everyone, and welcome to this month's Tech Talk, New Tools and SiteOPS for Smarter Site Design. So like we've always done in SiteOPS, I've been around for about 9 years with the SiteOPS tool. We constantly are updating the software and trying to give new and better workflows, features, and of course, always trying to make the software just in general better and easier to use. This year, was no different than any in the past. We had a lot of great new things, ability to access SiteOps a different way, being able to give free trials, all kind of different things. And we're going to go over some of the things we've added this year as part of our deliverables and go and show a few things. Some of you, if you're an existing SiteOps user, you may have missed the update about that. And then if you are not and you want to see what we've done, see if we've added some stuff that makes you want to jump on board and be part of the SiteOps workflow, we're going to show you how to do all that. Again, ask questions. We love to answer questions. Gerald is there to help as we go through, answer questions, and hopefully be able to, if possible, for the situation, show how we can solve potential problems or any ideas of what you need. So again, just real quick about me, just for the ones who don't know, my name is David Settlemeyer. I'm a principal civil engineer here at Bentley Systems. Again, like I said, I've been with SiteOps almost since the beginning. They were around a couple years before I joined on. I am a civil engineer in the state of North Carolina here in the U.S., also a surveyor. Um, had everything from my own company to head of a national engineering group for a big retailer. So when we talk about things, and we've all created SiteOps, and Gerald is also an engineer as well, we've always created it around making sure that we move it forward in a direction that's happy to the community. So we have that experience to understand why and where we're going. And of course, we always work with the users. So the first thing I'm going to bring up is why you update software. And this is something, I bring this up because I want to bring up, again, not so much what we've done so far, but it's around the mindset of keeping up with how we do software delivery, because SiteOps is different. SiteOps doesn't deliver software with a download. You have to install it, or if you're in a bigger company, have somebody look at it and then eventually pass it on to you. Whenever you log into SiteOps, you are always running the latest and greatest version. So, most people, and I fall into this myself, I'm usually in most softwares a couple versions behind, one or two. So I only I only update, not for the newest version, just to get rid of the reminder. So I put this up here because I want you to remember, SiteOps, again, you don't get an install. Once you've done it the first time, that's it. It's out there, and then when you log in, you go. So always make sure and come back and check every so often, because we're not out there constantly pinging that, hey, we have a new version. We're constantly adding tools, and the best way to know that is, even if you don't need SiteOps at that moment, if you're sitting around, maybe eating lunch or just want to do something a little different, just check in on SiteOps. And we added a message system, which I'll show you, that you can check and see what's new and how to use it. So let's take a look at what's new this year. There was 4 major pushes that had enhancements. And at the bottom, you see bug fixes. Of course, any software, we all have bugs, and we're constantly fixing them. And we always want to hear from users of any issues or enhancements that you would like. And we try again to build around those requests. The first versions that went out were 10.202 and 10.301. We sort of combined those because they had some features that went together. Mainly a good bit of it was around licensing. So we had context capture interoperability before we did this, but we actually were able to greatly improve that and give control, to give some control. And the next thing we did to be able to edit that surface, because you can grab a surface from it, is we gave you the ability to prune that. Basically come in and take the surface that you grabbed from the context capture and edit that. And this also allowed you to prune any existing surface that you may have brought in from another CAD file or some other source, USGS, or again, whatever it is that you're doing. Now, the grading feature line, this is one I don't see many people use. I'm going to touch on just a little bit, but it allows you to go and do some control. We sort of consider this more of an advanced user type scenario because, again, one thing is, like with any model, when you constrain it more, you can also cause more problems. grading profile controls, we added a lot of that. And then the big thing we did spend some time on at the back end of last year, which rolled into the beginning of this year, is a free trial. So anybody on here who hasn't tried SiteOPS, there is a free trial out there. Just go to bentley.com, look up the product SiteOPS, and you'll find the free trial. And for a lot of people out there that have wanted SiteOPS in their company is ELS. For their licensing with Bentley, it is eligible for ELS, so you can just download a different installer than people who are not ELS and pop right into SiteOPS and start using it. Now, a lot of the really cool stuff I thought came in the mid-year, around the mid-year workflow that we were looking at as 10.4. This is where we gave a publishing tool. A lot of people say, wow, I love SiteOPS. I love what I can do with it. And I love that it goes out to Google Earth. And I love that it goes to LumenRT. We can have some kind of visualization. I want to go in and push it out to something that maybe I can just do a simple printing. Maybe, again, I want to show you how you can send that URL to a client and they can sort of have a 3D environment without having to have Google Earth or anything special on their machine. Then we added a messaging system, which is going to allow us to communicate with you more clearly as to what's going on, what have we added, what are we going to have to do with certain things. Another one is, the easiest way to explain this is area color, is you may want to change different areas in SiteOPS, parking lots, roadway, buildings, for example. SiteOPS normally has a blue building, okay? That's the way it represents the building, and you can give a height to it. Now you can actually go in and change that building to be any color, change a parking lot to be a color. You can change and add colors to different things, so you can have multiple buildings that have different colors. So when they go out to the publishing tool, for example, or to LumenRT, they actually have a different color. A system image, get that in that a little bit more later, but you're able to add in your custom logo so that a report, for example, publishing tool comes out, it's going to actually have your logo instead of ours, and I'll show that. Import and export defaults. This is one allows you to go out and control the default properties a lot better and be able to do different things. KMZ and KML import, actually import and export, allows you to go out and send your files out in different scenarios other than just to Google Earth. A cost report export, again, allows you to bring a cost report. This is one a lot of people don't realize, and they're probably going to love this. There used to be an acreage limit on SiteOPS when you saved it, 200 acres. This was just to control people. We typically don't go out and grade 1,000 acres at a time. We might phase that. That's a lot of dirt movement to do all in one shot. It can happen, and we used to have users say, look, if you want to have the ability to save that, then you would just go in and let us know, and we would open that project up to a bigger area. Now that limit has been taken off. Just keep in mind that when you do save over 200 acres, if you do a couple thousand acre property, it takes a lot longer for things to process and go through. And again, that little basically on-screen grader that a lot of you just like using just to that and don't really send out for optimization, you may not get to the final result because it has a limit that it hits, and when you got a huge acreage, it hits its limit really looking for errors. Remember, that's to find errors, not to do the full optimization. And for Mac users that are out there, we do have a Windows launcher for you, so we brought that out. Now, the last version, which just went out about a week ago, is we added this, which is 10.5. We added in the ability to work with the new Civil 3D DWG 2018 for supporting for import and export. You can add a vertical scale to the profile tool. We now can export a revision of SiteOPS file. You don't have to actually open it up. So, for example, if you want to send it to someone else, you don't have to open up the file itself, hit export, and go through it that way. You can now do it straight from the administration page. And a big one that was in the web version of SiteOPS is the error flag for grading. This is one that, for example, when you send for optimization and there's a problem, and you get that grade, you'll get a grading error or stormwater piping feasibility error. That was not in the last couple versions we've had out. We brought that back, and I'll show you what that means. And again, let you understand that you send something off that physically can't be built, so therefore the system is letting you know you want to go and check and see what's wrong with the project and not just take it for truth that it's 100% right and there's no revisions. So real quick, the workflow thing, again, SiteOPS has been in this part of the workflow for years now. We're all about the conceptual phase. We're about making sure the project starts off on the right foot and everybody's able to have their input, their desires looked at, met, and then decisions based upon cost and layout. We haven't changed that. Okay, we're still right in this sweet spot. We've only made it better. But the one thing we've done is started working with reality modeling. a lot better. We'll start looking at how do we, for example, a lot of y'all may have seen for years now, or for a year or two, we have worked with LumenRT to take that model that I made in SiteOPS, add trees and cars, and shove it out to LumenRT where things move with the wind and cars move and people walk, and I go night and day and do that really cool design. And then again, from the front end, it's all about acquisition of data. We got to start with good data, pass the data through to get to LumenRT, and there's context capture, what allows you to use photogrammetry, your phone, a lot of different ways, drones to grab imagery of a site, create that into an actual 3D model, and SiteOPS will extract the data, allows you to use it and use that to go through the life cycle. So we've really been pushing with SiteOPS, not just adding new tools, but adding to this workflow. So the workflow really starts to, again, stay in our sweet spot, but opens up with interoperability to other tools to help you deliver better things. So as we always, I love to have a quote in every tech talk. Software is the magic thing whose importance only goes up over time. I think SiteOPS, to me personally, does this. Our user base tells you it becomes harder and harder not to have SiteOPS because they become so reliant on this ability to go in and do all this upfront design and do things easier. So, and that's what we want. That's one of our missions, is to keep making it better and better, so to the point that you don't know how to live without it. I mean, I can't imagine anybody right now in the industry, at least the ones that have been in the last 20 years, going back to hand drawing a full set of construction documents. We rely on CAD. We have to have it. Whatever that CAD software may be, it's part of us. It's part of us being engineers and architects and planners and whatever we're in the industry. We're making SiteOPS to be the same way for you, that you can't go without it. So that's enough PowerPoints and talking around and doing all that. Let's go out. I'm going to open up SiteOPS, and we're going to go in and actually just look at some of the tools, just talk about them a little bit. Again, I want you to understand they're there. Now, for the existing users, and if anybody else who want to go there, there's a SIG meeting a little later this month that Gerald will be doing that will go into more picks and clicks, especially of the new stuff. But it'll allow you to get in and get a little more interactive with him on, any more details, things like that. So here's a little site. I've used it a couple tech talks over the year. It's from just outside of Denver. It's a little office building. We got some LumenRT models. We got, let's turn off the contours so you can see better. We got some LumenRT models. We got a building. We got parking lots. Let's make sure the solver's up and running. Hit a little grade on this real quick just to make sure, again, model looks good. So we're good to go. So let's go in, and I'm just going to back up a little bit, and we're going to start looking at some of the tools that we've done. Now, I'm going to go start with the mid-year and come forward, and then I'll open up a clean drawing, and we'll look at a little bit of that context capture and pruning if time allows, because if not, I will say there's a lot of videos out there since that was done earlier in the year that we have on YouTube that goes through that. So I really want to focus on the last two releases, especially to get there. All right. So again, whenever you've created your design, everything's happy, I'm going, yes, I got to do something with this. Now, we've been asked for a long time, for many years, say, can I have a print button? And what we've done is we've relied on you exporting this out to your CAD packages, to LumenRT to create videos, to Google Earth, and you can save a KMZ file there and take that forward. Well, we said, well, what if we came up and said we want to do something completely different, and we want to come up with our own little idea of how to come out and do something. So we created a publish tool. And again, I've just sort of, let's just save this real quick. Save as, just so the publish tool will fire up. It just timed out on me, so we're just going to come in and just give this a save as. So what happens is the publish tool is actually not going to print something on your printer. This is going to make a URL, and from there we can do different things. But one of the really cool things about the URL is you can copy this. So let's just go and get this started. Go back to export. Let's do a publish. Now I can give it a title, and we'll just call this Tech Talk. And I can tell it what kind of information do I want to send. Again, we'll look at what we mean by site information in just a second. I can add notes. We'll just call this December Tech Talk and say OK. And then I can tell, do I want a budget? Do I don't want a budget? Do I want just quantities? Again, some people like to deliver the budget, some don't. And again, it goes a bunch of different ways. And then what layers? Do we want parking, parcels, drives, blocks? Now, blocks can be a number of different things. I'm going to turn some of this off just to let it go a little faster. There's a block of a building on there. We're gonna just let this go for a second, and I'm gonna show you one I've already done. So what you would do is you would set up exactly what you want, and you would say, okay. Now we're gonna let this run in the background. And what's gonna happen up in just a second, it's gonna have a little box that come up and says open URL or save URL. And what's gonna happen is when you do that, it's going to come in and look something like this. This is that same project exported from the URL. Now the thing is, this URL that I have right here at the top, I can copy and send this URL to anyone. My client, another engineer, architect, it doesn't matter. On the left is my data. I have my location, I have my surface data, parcels, parking, my notes. If we did, let's see, we're just gonna let that one, check on the one in the background that I got running just to see if there it is. We'll let that open up for just a second, then we'll come back. So we can now see a lot of stuff. We have a budget. Now, if I want to show that full budget, you can do that. Remember the one that normally comes out of SiteOPS? And if you haven't seen it, this is a budget in SiteOPS. This is a full-blown budget from your quantities, your unit cost, your totals, your subtotals, all the way down. If this one, for example, didn't have stormwater, if it did, it would have stormwater. You can have miscellaneous costs. A lot of things you can add into this as we keep taking this model forward. But here's the neat part. This is just like Google Earth, but it is not. It actually knows how to run. I can come in, and one of the huge things a lot of us have inside of Google Earth, I'm going to zoom right up in this corner so you'll be able to see this issue, is if I went in right in this corner, I'm actually, roll it at an angle, I'm actually cutting dirt. So if I tried to show this inside of Google Earth, what's going to happen is it goes below the Google Earth, so it doesn't show my site completely. This will allow me to have terrain off or on. So if I come up under terrain, and we're going to hide the terrain, and we're just going to roll it back around, and let's go to home. It's going to go back and find it for me. There we go. It likes to move around on me a little bit. There it goes, right here at the bottom. Let's zoom back in. There we go. I'm going to go back to that upper corner because I want to show you the difference. And this is, to me, the really neat part, is if I came in and said, I want to show this exactly how it fits because I'm cutting. Filling's never usually an issue inside of Google Earth that much. But if I was in Google Earth, I'd have to raise the site up. So if somebody came in from the side and looked, it would look just like this. There's my proposed site. In this case, I'm doing some filling. And there's some cutting going on in the back. We would not be able to show that. But now, if I come in, again, go up to the top, turn on terrain, it's going to match it up for me nicely. Go back to home. There's my project. We're going to swing it around, and now it shows it nicely. It's moved to match up and make sure that it looks exactly the way it should. And this is the kind of thing, again, these are the little details that when we're trying to show somebody what we're doing, if I want to look at a wall, for example, I can come around, swing around, and we have that vertical face of the wall setting right, just angle a little bit so you can see it. The vertical face of the wall, they can actually see that. So again, really neat thing about publishing, it's going to tile out, and it doesn't take anything great to have this tool. It just has to have a computer. It has to have some internet. And then you can do little things like I want different maps. Maybe I want to see an Esri world map instead of that one. I could come in. There's a repository of maps in here that I could start looking at. Really neat one some people love now is that black and white one so you can actually see. It looks sort of cool because you can see where populated areas are and they're not. So again, a lot of different things we can do. It also allows me to print. Again, it's just going to print a little basic output. It's not like trying to print from CAD. It's just going to be able to come in, drop a little print, and you can tell it what to add in and what not to add in. Let's open up my site over there. And we can come in and do layers. And again, this one, for example, I don't want parking to be shown. If I take off the parking, you'll see the parking looks right above the middle here. We'll show it again. The parking line goes off. So if I want to turn things off and on, I can do that. So again, very quick, very easy. And you can see, again, it's probably a little slow because of the Adobe Connect service we're using here because they pretty much all are for these kind of things. But I'm actually quickly moving around this site very easily. This is pretty neat. I absolutely love this. So we did that. Now, the other type you can do is this. I added color. I'm going to go back in just a second and show you how I added color. This is a mixed use community where we have different lots. You can see different lot sizes, different colors. We can come into the front where there's mixed use, so I use different colors for the big box retail, the movie theater, the strip retail, the bank. I can go in again, start communicating a little easier to everybody what is happening inside of this project. Multifamily, and then, like I said, the really great thing is it's just like Google Earth, but it's not Google Earth. It's its own thing, so they don't have to have anything special. So it makes life really simple and easy. And if you notice, right here is that same building. It's just taking a second to come in since I just opened that view up. It'll come in here in just a second. But one thing I want you to look at, and I'm going to go to this. There's the site coming in now. If I look here on the upper left, you're going to see where it says SiteOPS. That's an image. And if I look over here to the right, I changed it just for the webinar. Instead of saying SiteOPS, I wanted a big B for Bentley. Okay, this comes to another tool that we've added inside SiteOPS. So let's start going through some other tools. And one of them is a image upload. You can go out, it'll show you what your current image is. You can go out and grab an image as long as it's a PNG, BMP, JPEG, or GIF, and bring that in and use that as the image inside of that publisher. So when you send it out, you can put the client's information on there. You could put your company. But one thing to remember, that is going to go across the whole organization. So if you put a client in there, make sure and change it back probably to your company logo. It just gives you some ability to customize, but you don't want your next project with your previous client's logo on top of it. It's pretty much as simple as that. Once you've identified the new logo or the new image, it'll take care of all the work for you. So while we're up here on the upper right, let's go to message. Now this is an important one in my opinion, because this is going to start communicating to the users yourselves as to what's coming on, what's new, and what's going. So I put up this one. Now what will happen is when you go into SiteOPS and we have a new push of a version, you're going to get this automatically. And you can mark it as red. And once it's marked as red, it goes away. And it won't come up on your screen every time because you've read it. But this is sort of our nag. This is our reminder to let you know what's happening. Then you can come in, as you can see, for example, here's one. I opened one for October. You can go to October. You can go to our Yammer page, our Bentley Communities page. Sorry about that. And you can go in, and I could actually see here is what's going on. I'm a Mac user, for example. Here's how to install SiteOPS for a Mac, because maybe I want to start using my Mac machine instead of my Windows machine. You can do that. Very simple. Go in and get there, but we link you back over to that. So again, that's the messaging system. Wanted to show you how that comes in really quick and easy. Again, stay communicated mainly one direction. It's from us to you, the user. Now, the other thing is we actually, again, added the ability to add color to anything. So if I come in, I just highlighted the building that we have right in the middle. I'm going to change the color. Let's change it to on an orange. So if I come in, go back under, get rid of this user thing here and go back to project. There we go. Grading solver. You're going to now see that the building is orange. And you can change about anything in here that has an area. I could even take the whole site and let's say I want it sort of this pinkish purple color. And now I can change it that way. So you want to start having a lot better control. And that's how, when you push to the publisher, I can then come in and have it actually show the colors just like we did when we looked at it in this version. That's all I did was add colors to it. So when it went out, it's nice and grading. I can see the lot lines, the roads. It makes it look very similar to what I would want to if I was trying to take the time and create some other 3D visualization in a CAD tool. Again, remember, this is all about with SiteOPS, getting this to the client, getting comments saying, yeah, I like this, no, I don't like this, and going on to the next version or going forward with construction documents. So again, you can add areas to anything you want. So now another thing we did was added the ability to work with defaults. Now, one thing people have been asked, you can always go into SiteOPS and I can save a template and I can import it and use it, from one project to the next. But a lot of people go, I just don't like filling this out every time, or I'm going to get a contractor to fill it out. And we had an Excel spreadsheet that's part of the budget delivery. Some people would get them to do that and then come back in and say, all right, here's, I'm going to have to manually go back and put that in. So what we've done in the upper right, we've added the ability to be able to take this out, edit it, and bring it back in. A lot of people are going to love this. So I can save the actual file itself. Again, it's going to save as a CSV file. And just to show you what it looks like, it will open it inside of Excel. And you're going to see a name category, a value, abbreviation, and a description. And if you come in and change any of these, here are your default properties. And again, description on the right. But for example, this is in metric. My minimum street radius is 9.14 meters. For me, I would have it if I'm doing subdivisions 150 feet, so I can have meet fire requirements. We're going to come down into your stormwater, your pavement thicknesses, your runoff coefficients. Again, you can save this any way you want. Your unit costs. Imagine just sending this to a contractor and saying, hey, can you fill a few of these in for me? And then at that point, you just save it as, give it a name you want to save it. And then all I want to do is go out and search for it, bring it, drop it into SiteOPS, and it will update that information for you automatically. It's going to make life a lot simpler, especially on the unit cost. That's when we hear a lot of people saying, I know where to go get unit costs, but I want something that makes it easy for them to just quickly give me some numbers and drop it into SiteOPS. You asked, so now you have it. So I do see and hearing people already using this one. So I'm going to follow across the file top here, and we'll just go through a few things. Again, like I said, we got limited amount of time, and I got still a good bit more to go over. So let's just rush through this real quick, or not too rush. KMZ files. So a lot of people do use things like Google Earth, and you can save KMZ files, and other softwares work with this as well. And you can save KMZ and KML files. So we've been asked for a long time to be able to import those files into SiteOPS and use those as my base starting point for a project. So you can do that. But you can just simply go under Import File, go Browse, find that file, bring it in, and SiteOPS will drop it inside your project. You don't have to map it. It already knows what's inside of it and know what to do. And the same thing on export. If you don't want to go straight to Google Earth, you can go out as a KMZ file and save that as well. Oh, and one other quick little export while we're here, a GITF for that publishing tool. If you don't want to go out and create a URL, but you want the same type of data, it does go out of the GITF file. You can save that. A few people have asked for that, so we've put that out there. Another thing we've added to export is a budget. Now, typically, over the last year or so, people, when you come in, you grade. We can see our little budget in the lower right-hand corner. You're going, great, I want to see that nice detail budget, but I don't want to optimize to get to it. You was able to come in and view a cost report here, which is similar to when you get to the Excel spreadsheet, but you had no ability to export this. You now have an ability to export it. So all you have to do is hit cost report, hit budget, and give it a file name and where you want it to go. We'll just call it Tech Talk, TT, say save, and do OK. It's going to export it out. It's going to save it where I want it. And now I'm going to have that same type of budget that we were just looking at, similar to the default properties, import and export. And we'll be able to actually come in and open that file up and be able to use it. So again, a great little tool to help us quickly grab information in and out. Now, one thing I really want to talk about is, again, not just, exporting DWGs 2018. It's not exciting. We've done CAD files ever since the very beginning. We've just updated that for the newer versions. I really want to talk about some of the stuff in profile. So let's try to hit a little bit of earlier release that we did along with what we just put out. So we have a roadway, and I want to look at the profile. So I go to View and I go Show Profile. Now, what I've always told people is what happens inside SiteOPS, it has two levels of grading. We have what we call Optimize for Cost, and I can put some K values and some basic information inside of that, min, max slopes. But, for example, my road still meets all my little requirements for all the little 10 sections. If you think about SiteOPS, what happens is inside this model, all it's doing, just like we do with most models, we have a bunch of 10s. We have 10s all over the place, and all the roadway is doing is chopping up that 10 and using it. So inside of the profile, we can actually see how it's doing that. So I want to come in and do a best fit curve. I'm going to give it a K value of 20. And then I'm going to tell SiteOPS, all right, use that. And now I want to come in and I want to start fine tuning that to meet my engineering standards. So the cost is going to be just probably a little bit higher because we're going to move dirt a little less efficiently. But I got a good idea of where that starting point should be. And there we go. That quickly I can come in and I can edit it. I can come to the side. I can pick on a point, for example. It gives me my information to the right. It allows me to edit this. And if I pull it, and if you see, for example, the roadway goes red, it means I'm breaking my own rules. Again, not the end of the world. It's just letting me know that. And I can come in, or I could just pick on that and say, you know what, I don't even want that point, so let's just delete it. I can come in and use it to draw. If I want to just initiate it and draw my own, I can do that as well. So we can come in and do a lot of different changes. So again, enhancements that were brought up in this area were ability to add and change. If I want to come in and, again, be able to set things to exact points, exact elevations. So if I want to raise this to, let's do 5475, I can do that. makes life simpler. The other thing you can also do, which was something we added this time, is a vertical scale. Now, we defaulted at a 10-to-1 scale because that's what most of us deal with out in the industry, but not all the times. So you may want to come in and look at this at a 1-to-1 scale. You may want to look at it at a 5-to-1 scale or a 20. Whatever you want that increment to be, you can set that up so you can match it to what you need. And of course, as you zoom in and out, it'll keep that scale ratio. The numbers, we've actually went in and made them a little easier to read, so you can see my elevations along with my stations as we go through it. So again, a lot of information that we can work with there as well. And of course, just as always, that we've been working with profiles. I close this. I can now, what happens, it actually adds that to my roadway system, and we'll make it start doing exactly what I told it to do. As you can see, actually, probably going in and changing it like we did, we caused ourselves an error. And that's where we caused it. Right over here, we started raising and playing with the roadway. And this beauty of SiteOPS, it's going to tell us whether we're feasible or not, right? So, again, very basic stuff. Now, that brings up another point. Let's go ahead and just jump right into another thing. Again, I know I'm hitting a lot of them really fast and hard. And again, if you want more detail, we can get into that in SIG meetings or one-on-one. Again, we always like to talk to users. If you see grading is not feasible, let's say I sent this off for optimization. I'm going to let it go through millions of grading and stormwater and scenarios looking for the cheapest cost, but I forgot to clear off my grading problem. So what would happen is, if I tried to use this solution now, I could export a solution. Remember, I have a problem. If I send it off to actual optimization, what would happen is I would get results. Let's go to the Tech Talk one. We would get results. And what would happen in the past, you would not see an error. In the older versions of SiteOPS, we actually had an error. And what would happen is you would have to open this up and make sure you didn't see an error message about piping or grading. Now we've added error column. So this one, for example, had a grading problem. So I need to go in and look at that solution. The solution's not good. And if it was piping for stormwater, it would say piping. And it just gives you an error message that says, hey, something is wrong. Open it up, fix it, and then resubmit it. So again, just help make sure that you're going right and delivering solutions that are constructible so nobody gets in trouble down the road. Now, one other quick little thing. I'm just looking through my list of things that we went through. Again, free trial, ELS, the error flags. You can export also straight from the project area. This is something we said earlier that we've not been able to do in the past. So if I'm inside of revision and I want to export this and just send that SOZ file, that's the file type name for a SiteOPS to somebody else to load into their SiteOPS and use. You don't have to open the software and go to export and that whole part. Just export it straight from here, send it right out to the user or to the other user that you're trying to send this to. So real quick, I'm going to go in and we're just going to, let's just open a blank one. We'll just do new. And I'm just going to show you one more quick little thing, and then we'll jump into some questions. So hopefully, again, I know this one's moving really fast because we're trying to cover tools that normally we're doing one webinar on just some of this stuff alone. But in this case, again, like I said, we're going to fly through it just so we can give an idea of what's been added and what's going on out there. So let's come into import, and I can go out to a 3MX file. That's a file format type for context capture. And once you go out, you can bring this kind of information in. Now, this is one that a lot of us in Bentley use. Just a little town. Let's go over here and make my property around this building. Let's do something really fast and simple. Because I want to come in and we've been asked to build a new gas station on this corner, or a school or power plant or substation. Who knows what it might be, right? We all do so many different type of jobs. I want to be able to get the information and use it, though. So what happens is you can come in and say, all right, I've got this. This is a three-dimensional model. That's why as I move around, the imagery and the data sort of lightly changes. You'll see some of it because, again, understanding what's going on. Because this is a model. This was an aerial of a whole town turned into a 3D model. So I don't want to bring in all that data, especially topo. That'd be an insane amount of data. So what I want to do is I want to go up into my import area, and I want to clip terrain. Now, you can also, another thing, I didn't even add this, we also can bring in OBJ files now. That's another file format that comes out of a lot of the droning software. So you can bring that in and use this the exact same way. So what's going to happen, it's going to take just a minute or two, and it's going to download this information. Now, the problem that's going to happen is there's a building, for example, sitting right in the middle of this project. When we're droning or using photogrammetry, we don't know what's happening around that building. All it knows is there's topo there. Again, the system doesn't know it's a building. That I can't really use that as part of a design process. Let's come in and let's take this. Let's go to layers. Let's turn off some of this stuff. Let's go in here and turn it off. There we go. Vehicle path. I don't need some of this. So you can see the topo. And if I went in and tried to grade this right now, I'm going to have a huge amount of grading right in the middle of my project, mainly because SiteOPS is trying to flatten that building. It's trying to use that information, and that's incorrect. So what I need to do is I need to clean it out. As you can see, there's the nice contours of where it tried to come in and fix it. So I'm going to go in under grading, and you're going to see prune existing. Now again, this surface could have come from anywhere. We're just going to use the one from context capture. So I can show it. I want to come in and I want to clean this out. And we're just going to come across. Again, what I would do is I'd probably go in and be a little more exact like this just to make it look cleaner. But for today, we're just going to go in real quick and easy just for time. And we're going to come back and we're going to save this. So what happens is I've created an area. You're going to see on the right, there's some little information that comes with it, but not much you can really do with it and don't need it. What I want to do is I want to hit grading button just for a few seconds, just so it can start, because that way SiteOPS knows to apply it. You can already see a huge difference. Now we got some, I think there's some walls along these outer edges of this project, so I'd have to go back and cut those out as well. But as you can see where that building was, I'm not in there grading and doing a lot of extra work. I'm actually now coming in, and let's change the color of those existing contours for a second, just so we can see them a little easier. Let's make them red. And we'll do the same thing for those. So we now can come in. Oh, sorry about that. Now we'll just do it this way. Make it look faster for me. There we go. There we go. So now you can see the contours that used to go up the side of the building, across the roof, and create that really crazy surface, but it was an accurate surface based on that imagery. It's now coming in and looking at it this way. So again, it's still interpolating. The only way you're going to really get better information around the edges is get better photography or field ran data. But to get started, and again, still seeing if we're in the right direction, this is a good way to clean up that information. So these are a bunch of things. Again, we're running out on time. These are a bunch of things we've added this year. As always, next year is going to be even better. We got a list of new things that are going to really allow a lot of detailing, hopefully some storage options, so you don't always have to store your information on our servers. You know, you can always have it and download it, but there's always a copy on our servers. We're going to look at some options allowing you to do some offline storage, some other ways of accessing SiteOPS. So again, a lot of really neat things coming. Especially, I'm really excited about being able to now start detailing our models even more. A lot of users said, "Look, I love what you do, but I need to get more detail. I need to control islands. I need to do things a little more exact so that I can get a little bit better answer. Stay in that conceptual phase, really." Beyond conceptual, start going down into some detailed design. That's our mission this coming year, to deliver that to you as soon as we can. So let's jump back out to our PowerPoint. We'll finish up. So yeah, let's just take questions. So Gerald, if there's any questions, let's just start talking. And again, if you have any, please write them in the chat window. Because we definitely will be able to show you what's going on. We got just a little bit more time, and let's cover what we can.
I got a question here. Somebody's asking, are your context capture and Luminar T a separate software?
Yes, they are. They are two separate softwares. Again, they're both Bentley softwares. They are fantastic. They are easy to use. Context capture, first time I got it, I think I just threw an Apple on my desk, went around it with a phone. Next thing, I got a 3D model within just a few minutes. It's really cool software. Luminar T, anybody who's watched one of our webinars before, I've been in love with that software from the first day I saw it and realized SiteOPS worked with it almost naturally from the very beginning. It was things I wished I could deliver in live environments and all this movie looking type stuff, augmented reality, all that it'll do. The hardest thing which it doesn't do is create a model. Well, that's what SiteOPS does. So yes, two separate softwares. But the whole system works as a great workflow in that front end of a project.
All right. So I got another question here for you, Dave. How long does it take to learn SiteOPS and become a good user?
SiteOPS is like any tool. It takes, you're not going to just be a master on the first project. You got to do, a couple of projects, and as you get a little bit better over each one. The biggest thing I tell people about SiteOPS is not necessarily learning the tool. It's understanding that you are creating a model and you are designing. So if you do something, for example, if I've set that constraint like I did with the roadway, and all of a sudden I got a grading error, SiteOPS is not going to tell you to fix it. It's not going to tell you to put in a wall or change your roadway. It doesn't know how to do that. That relies on our experience as professionals. So the hardest thing I think most people have about learning SiteOPS It's not really learning the tool. It's understanding it is not CAD. We're different. If I draw some bad contours in CAD, we find that in the field. And usually that makes an issue. And that's why SiteOPS came around. A lot of those kind of issues were happening to developers and engineers and architects. So we built a tool that we're identifying them up front. But again, in turn, is really starting to learn to live inside of a modeling type world. And that's where the industry is going, right? It's all about creating a model from the very beginning, that all the way through construction.
Got another question here. Can the unit cost be updated for the location of the project?
Yeah, and that's definitely, like I said, that was one that we added in for the default property area. So you can add that, save it for that location. Now, it won't do it for you automatically. This is, we're not a cost estimating service. A lot of people want, sort of the way some of the other line services, I again, don't want to promote them, but there are tools out there like RS Means. I'll say that one. That's one a lot of us use, probably have a subscription to. So RS Means has data based on location and factors and all that kind of stuff. Again, you can go to those areas and grab that information and use it, import that into SiteOPS. But we are not a source for construction information.
All right, Dave, that looks like all the questions we have from our users today.
Oh, like bunch of questions. But again, I'll stay on for a few minutes longer. Ask any questions that you want. We're here to help make your life a little easier. And I want to thank everyone. Again, SiteOPS had a great year this year, and next year I'm really excited. Probably the most excitement I've had going into any year about what's on our plate that we're building currently. So I look forward to seeing and talking with everyone over next year as well.